I'm the artistic director and founder of Opéra Parallèle in San Francisco. As many other companies around the world, we have started streaming some of our past productions. I thought it might be interesting to share with all of you some musical insights on the operas, so that it might help you experience the works differently when you watch them. This month, we are streaming our 2016 production of Peter Maxwell Davies' opera, The Lighthouse. I love this opera. It is brilliantly written, and we could discuss the inventiveness of the score for days. Peter Maxwell Davies died in 2016 at the age of 81. He was an important figure in the British post-war music scene and an enfant terrible in the 1950s, experimenting with his wild musical style. When he wrote The Lighthouse in 1979 at the age of 45, he had moved to the Orkney Islands in northern Scotland and had embraced into his sound world the stark and ancient landscape of the region. It is this powerful combination of his wild inventiveness and the more meditative spaciousness of his new surroundings that makes this opera one of his most popular works. The Lighthouse is a rare thriller opera based on an unresolved historic murder story from the early 1900s, a kind of operatic film noir, part detective mystery and part ghost story. It opens with a prologue in which 3 officers addressed a board of inquiry. They anxiously report on their trip to the lighthouse and the discovery that the crew was missing. Nervous, they contradict each other on the details, but an open verdict is recorded and the trio sings of the ghost's modern robot replacement of the automatic lantern.
The lantern went automatic. The curtains were abandoned, sealed up, blind. The lighthouse is now automatic. Empty. The lighthouse is now automatic. The lighthouse is now abandoned. Its ghosts are shut in, sealed in tight. The lighthouse is dead, 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 dead. Except for its robot lantern.
The second part, The Cry of the Beast, opens in the lighthouse with 3 keepers, Sandy, Blaze, and Arthur. They have been trapped for way too long and are becoming increasingly mad. To try to stay sane, they play cards and decide to entertain themselves with songs which reveal deep secrets from all 3. The fog rolls in. Becoming increasingly insane, they begin to hallucinate. Seeing the lights of the relief vessel approaching and hearing the foghorn, they believe it is the beast now moving across the waters to claim them. The only cure is to kill the beast, Arthur cries. When the music calms, the 3 relief officers from part 1 are visible and in the lighthouse. They convince each other, we had to defend ourselves, begging the question, what exactly happened to the lighthouse keepers? The opera ends with the ghostly spirit of Sandy, Blaze, and Arthur trapped in the empty lighthouse where the automatic lantern shines for eternity. The Lighthouse is a chamber opera of about 1 hour and 20 minutes, normally performed without an intermission. The cast consists of only 3 singers, a tenor, baritone, and bass, since the relief officers in part 1 take on the roles of the innkeepers in part 2. This shifting of character adds a surreal element to the telling of the story. To get both that wild and yet meditative soundscape we spoke about earlier, Maxwell Davies incorporates eclectic instruments in his chamber orchestra of 12 players: banjo, out-of-tune piano, referee whistle, many flexatone, in order to expand his sound and colors. Most orchestral musicians are also asked to play more than one instrument. The guitarist will play the banjo and the bass drum. The pianist will not only double on the celesta, but also play the out-of-tune piano, a flexatone, and a referee whistle. Both violin and viola take on some percussion instruments. The Lighthouse is written in an expressionist style so that we can experience the raw, unbridled emotion and tension of the story. Maxwell Davies exposes and exaggerates the emotional angst of his characters by using highly dissonant music, disjunct vocal lines that have a very wide range, extreme contrast in dynamic going from very soft to very loud, and a large variety of textures going from complete transparency to opaque, dense moments.
From the records of a court of inquiry into the unnatural disappearance of the lighthouse keepers, from the Flatiron Lighthouse by the Lighthouse Board in Edinburgh, with evidence from officers of the lighthouse ship who went to Flatiron on their normal round of lighthouse duties with provisions and parody.
After this short prologue, the Greek chorus becomes the officers at the court of inquiry. An unconventional and surreal element is introduced when the composer uses the French horn to personify the character who interrogates the officers. The French horn asks 13 wordless musical questions to the officers. It is up to the audience to decide what question was asked. Ahead of his time, Peter Maxwell Davies suggests that the French horn be placed in the audience during this inquiry, creating an immersive experience for the audience. During this interrogation, the three officers gradually move from straight testimony into the fantastical reimaginings of their journey to the lighthouse. During this flashback, the orchestra becomes its own scenic element as nature comes alive, distorted and exaggerated. You experience the storm, feel the wind, hear the multitude of rats, almost smell the ocean.
We must flood the afterhold. Stand by to lower the longboard.
You will hear the officers trying to get around Hell Point. All the instruments participate in creating a sound world of anxiety. You hear the wind and the flute with all the glissandi, the bass clarinet and trombone howling, the low string shaking with tremolos. Then the contrast, sudden slack water. The flute becomes the piccolo, still howling but with a very different color. The tremolos that were so bringing us such anxiety are now peacefully in the marimba and celesta, showing the importance of instrumentation for Maxwell Davies. In part 2, The Cry of the Beast, we flash back in time. We move inside the lighthouse with our singers now being the three lighthouse keepers. The sound world continues to paint the mood, the anxiety and fatigue of this prolonged isolation. But when the keepers begin to entertain each other with a song, a major musical shift happens. One by one, the keepers reveal a lightly veiled secret from their past, using a more vernacular style of music. This kind of musical parody is central to Peter Maxwell Davies' compositional style. Musical parody has a long tradition in music. Renaissance composers often use musical material from a pre-existing composition to honor a specific master. However, contemporary composers often employ parody to sarcastically imitate a work or style as a tool for irony and satire. It is exactly this kind of musical parody that we find at the center of this opera. First Blaze, accompanied by Bones in the percussion, banjo and violin fiddle, sings a fraught and tumble folk-style ballad of abuse, murder and betrayal. It relates a murder committed by Blaze for which his father was arrested and hanged. We see Blaze's blasphemous sociopath personality come through.
When I was a kid, our street had a gang that was the toughest in all the land. We ruled with fist and razor and chain, till all the city trembled at the mention of our name. But our parents were much better than us, for when they had to fight, they really got bust with police and truncheons and hospital cases and beautiful patterns all over their faces.
Sandy then takes his turn with a sentimental ballad accompanied by a cello and an out-of-tune piano. The three stanzas turn into a less innocent round when taken up by the other two singers, becoming increasingly lustful and erotic.
From my dreams, from my sleep, so deep, so deep, so long, by the cock crowing loud, crowing loud, I am aroused, my dream has flown.
Finally, the seemingly religious fanatic Arthur takes up a Salvation Army song, The Golden Calf, with brass, clarinet, and tambourine, in which he seems personally to glory in the affliction of the Levites, hiding something sinister behind his overzealous righteousness.
The calf was ground to dust, and God piled high the slain. The matter is not ended, the calf will rise again. The golden image sleeps a while, craving incarnation, and will return a raging bull, wreaking blind destruction.
Seeing the lights of the relief vessel approaching, they interpret this as the golden calf, the beast, now moving across the waters to claim them. The orchestra takes over the whole stage and becomes the beast, creating a cacophonous world around the singers, who for the first time unite in a single voice of defiance. You might actually hear in this next example the percussionist, who is using a plastic soap dish to scrape around the rim of the tam-tam to produce a howl resembling electronic feedback.
Steps of awful need, to God we send our need, to turn his heart against the big, in confidence that we are fascinating spirit heading from that face to face.
As you see, the opera as a whole is a powerful metaphor in sound, and the orchestra actively participates in the drama. For this production, OP's creative director, Brian Stauffenbiel, explored fabric art as a way to enhance the storytelling and experiment with the idea of a living set. Stauffenbiel integrated in the design 4 dancers that used physical theater techniques to dance and manipulate the fabric. Fog, water, spirits, the sea monster all appeared and came alive on stage. But have no fear, the beast only exists in the mind of the Lighthouse keepers. It has been a pleasure to take the time to revisit this score and prepare this short presentation for you. I was reminded what a privilege it was to study and conduct it. I hope these insights will be helpful as the music transports you through this electrifying journey. Is that not what great opera always does? I hope to see you soon in the hall.